I seem to be missing here. Let me, oh, there I am. Okay, so today I wanted to do a test cutting video, but I'm still not feeling good because I have a bad toothache. It's been kind of downing me. I did do some test cutting the other day with the demi swords to make a follow-up video on demi sword test cutting, and I forgot to film it. So we'll have to redo that and get more pool noodles if I can find near some kind of target. But today I will talk about a sword I own that I've been thinking about a lot lately. If you've watched my video entitled Test Cutting with 3 Oriental, no, did I say Oriental swords? Yeah. Asian swords, that's what I said. Test Cutting with 3 Asian swords. I use in there one sword that I kind of hobbled together from pieces over the years. That is a straight-bladed katana-looking sword that I call a Korean sword. Okay, so there it is. My Korean sword in its scabbard. And there it is. Miraculously, outside its scabbard. Okay, so while my scabbard is in no way traditional, it's a flat piece of crap scabbard that came with the original sword. Focusing on that, you see I've modified it with the ever-popular duct tape. You can tell it's crap. But I did add some of these fittings off of a cheap flea market Japanese sword that someone had given me. Kind of made it look a little more at a glance like a real scabbard, even though it's flat, cheap wood. However, when it comes to it, the sword is much more important. And this blade is actually, I'll put a picture up again, what this is. It's actually the blade and grip still left from a Bud K cheap ass ninja sword. And as you can see here, I've added a much nicer Suba with a tiger on it. The Suba looks like antique copper or bronze or something, but really it's off of a flea market Tachi that I bought years ago, and I've used parts from it and some of the, like that brass spacer there from the original sword. The handle was originally wrapped in black, but it looked like underwear elastic, but underneath the wood was pretty dark and nice, even though it hasn't all evened out from where I've had to reshape it some. And let's see if we can zoom in on that a bit. We have the Chinese dragon motif. And you see those parts don't actually line up very well. I did the best I could with what I had at the time, but not great. And it's kind of sort of peened at the end. It was a screw thread, and it's all epoxy together and kind of pounded in shape. But one feature to it is, if you look, the handle looks a little off. And it's partly from the drilling, but also right here, there seems to be a gap. Well, there's a groove I added there. A little groove. And that actually just tells me which direction the actual edge is, because otherwise the handle is a nice oval, but there's no reference point. I actually mounted the Suba. The handle was shaved uneven, you see. And the Suba sits at a little bit of an angle, which I was disappointed at first until I found that it actually matches how the hand would sit under it. You see, my thumb sits higher than the other, so even with the blade straight vertical, you can see it follows the contour of the hand. So it came out kind of nifty, even though it was an accident. Moving on. So I wanted to spotlight a few actual Korean swords to show you what they looked like, because they're similar to katana, but slightly different. This one has a ray skin wrapped handle, and characteristic of Korean swords has a tassel through the handle. Now, if you notice, this blade is not straight, but it's fairly straight. There's a little bit of a gap there. Moving on to this one, which has a straighter blade, but again, the tassel through the handle. And the scabbards on both were mounted somewhat like a tachi. You can see there how close to straight that is. They all have the Tachi style mounts that I know of, the tassel through the handle. This one is nearly straight, although I think it's only offset at the Suba, that the blade itself probably is actually straight. Done in the green ray skin, which I found attractive. And then this one, which is the one I sort of modeled mine after, which definitely has a straight blade, completely straight. It also appears, if you look closely, to have a sort of locking mechanism on the scabbard. You can probably see it. Also the Korean swastika. I'll talk about that at some point. But it has a scabbard lock, which I'm guessing you would release with your thumb upon drawing, but I think that's a little rare on older swords. Anyway, that's my video on the Korean sword. Hilson, folks.